Guys, postgame show, West Coast style. Bobby Manning, John Zannis. Sherrod Blakely's threatening to join. He might. He still might. It's past Jimmy Toscano's bedtime, but Celtics beat the Warriors pretty comfortably. Probably more so than, whatever. Ended up being a pretty lopsided score. Warriors got a little close there, but pretty dominant defensive effort. You've got now back-to-back here. You're looking at what? 35 points against the Mavericks, Bobby, and 32 against. No way.
There he is.
Not Josue doesn't say
Josue's in too.
Doesn't say a freaking
Look at
word.
him sipping the coffee.
Doesn't say a word on the chain and shows up. Look at this action.
What do you mean? I thought it goes without saying.
I don't know.
Stop. Oh, stop, Josue. Just stop.
West Coast, I thought you were out.
I thought you were going to pull a Jimmy.
No, this is classic. This is it goes without saying, and then when I don't say it, well, where were you last night? Come on, man.
Where were you, bud? Oh yeah, no, I was out. I was,
Yeah, but exactly. If I didn't show up, you would be like, where were you last night? So.
Nah, I didn't count on you. It's a late game. It's a school night. I totally get it. I was fading, and that Stauskas 3 put just breathed life back into me.
What a story.
That was the win. And honestly, that guy looked so happy. Oh man. This is a pretty good moment.
All the shooting was out there at the end of the game. All that shooting that they were looking for all game on.
Yeah.
We were due.
We are. I want to let everybody know we're goofing around with some stuff. We have a March Madness garden report style bracket that we started releasing tonight. We're putting a few polls here in the chat. I'm told there's already an upset alert here.
Really?
Yes. Which one?
We got.
Hold on. Which one? So we've seeded some of our garden report sayings and different things that have happened on the show. It's a 32 team, I guess, bracket broken into the Toscano region, the Manning region, the Blakely region, and the Pavon region.
No Zannis region?
There's not 5 regions. What are you going to do? So that's what we've got, but I'm told there's an upset alert already with the poll that we've put on YouTube. So we'll see what we have. It's running on Twitter. It's also, no way.
Get your votes in, everybody.
Jimmy Homeschool as a 1 seed is getting upset right now by Bobby's small sample sizes. So this could be interesting.
I didn't know that was one of them. That's funny. Yeah. Sample sizes.
That is interesting. So, all right, let's talk about
sample size though.
Let's talk all about tonight. I don't want to be that guy who's going to say it. I'm just frustrated. I was so looking forward to tonight because the Warriors got Draymond Green back, and you thought they were going to play an elite team with championship aspirations on the road with a full lineup. They've got Clay, they've got Draymond. And then you find out Wiggins isn't playing before the game. So boom, there goes one guy out. And then Curry plays a quarter, does nothing, and he's out too. And again, yes, you beat this team. I'm not saying it's a throwaway victory. I'm just bummed that they didn't get a chance to go toe to toe with a kind of fully healthy Golden State team wire to wire. I know you want to stack up wins. We're just trying to get a sense of how's this team going to do when they play 7 games against someone who's as good as they are or better, and and has everybody on their roster. You want to see you want some tests along the way, right?
We got robbed of a exciting finish to this game for sure.
Exactly.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, like it had all the makings of it. Between Marcus and Kerr barking at each other, between the stifling defense from the Celtics, man, what a first quarter! Incredible stuff. Same thing carried over into the second quarter. And then, of course, seeing Steph Curry go down, that helped the Celtics in a way. But then you had Jordan Poole come up big. I mean, yeah, I'm with you in that sense, John. But I still think that the Celtics did a good job of sending a message in that first half, man. The Golden State Warriors are like, man, like there's not a big chance of us facing this team again in the postseason. But that team, in my opinion, I think it sent a message to not only Golden State, but on the national stage, it put everyone on notice a bit because that's how good this defense is.
They're phenomenal.
If opposing teams and analysts, national analysts, didn't get a really good sense of how stifling this defense really is, I think they got it tonight just from watching that first half by the Celtics.
I mean, it's sick what they're doing defensively.
It's insane.
I mean, the way that they're able to so fluidly rotate when there are switches. And it's like typically when you're playing a team that does a lot of switching, you're going to at some point, if you keep moving the ball, you're going to find that mismatch. They're not giving you that. Because even when you beat a guy off the dribble, you got Rob, coming through like Mr. Free Safety, pinning your stuff on a glass. And if he's not pinning your stuff on a glass, you've got a path that you think you're going to get to the basket that all of a sudden there's a do not enter sign by the name of Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum or another guy. They are playing. I mean, I haven't seen this type of just defense from top to bottom. And then you go to the bench and you got guys like Derrick White who comes in, who does a good job defensively. I haven't seen this since that 04 Pistons team, where you had 6 or 7 guys that collectively could defend you. And when you went to your bench, you still had a pit bull or two that could get it done.
It's impressive. And that's the thing is, like, when everyone's going to, and I'm among them, gonna look at the Derrick White stuff and be like, man, this dude needs to see something go in because he's starting to aim the ball and he looks really bad on offense. But you're right. Defensively, it's unreal. They just come in and you're right. Like, what you're not getting offensively, you're getting it, defensively for those guys coming off the bench right now. And it makes a huge difference because even if you go cold, you're just making it really hard on the other team to do anything. And again, just no one can get into the paint area. Everything is just kind of whipping the ball around the perimeter, and you just can't get anywhere where you can get a quality shot, and you're stuck late in the clock having to take a contested 2. And that's just what they do to people. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, especially to the Warriors team.
Yeah. Right. I was just going to say, especially when you talk about the whole defensive player of the year, and I've been pro Marcus Smart up until today. I'm on Team Time Lord right now. I mean,
kidding.
The thing that he and this is why. Not only did he block shots, and he has the ability to alter shots, he's doing something now that I think people aren't really recognizing, and that is he's making guys make bad decisions. Guys are driving into the lane, and if they're not taking a bad shot, they're kicking it out to a ghost because there's no one that they can pass to. They don't want to throw it up. You've got wings who are in position to catch the ball, but they're not getting it. I mean, there was more than one possession where Rob's presence made a player, whether it was Poole, whether it was Lee, throw to who they think is Klay Thompson, but Klay's like on a wing, and they're shooting it like 3 rows back. And Klay's like, I'm wide open. And it's like, no, you're not. He is in their heads in a way that we have not seen a Celtics big since Kevin Garnett. And that's, again, Rob, obviously a different kind of defender than Kevin Garnett, but the impact as far as getting inside guys' heads, making them make bad decisions, in addition to keeping their stuff out of the paint, he's getting it done.
Yeah, where's the footwork? I think, in my opinion. What'd you tweet about? I think I know what you're about to say.
Just Rob's third block, the one that the first 2 he pinned on the backboard. The third one he just picked out of the sky. I can't remember who shot it, but I remember at that moment, whoever shot the ball after the block looked back at him and it was like, really? And so did like half the Warriors team. They were like, because he just picked it out of the sky, and they were like, come on, man.
See, that's what I was just about to say. Like, for me with Robert Williams on defense, it's the footwork. Him getting into spaces, him getting there quickly, and people are just like, whoa, where did that come from? That guy was just over there, and in 2 seconds he's over. Like, I think he's really surprising people, and believe it or not, and I feel like we were joking about this a couple of months ago, but there might be some truth to this, but people are really sleeping on Robert Williams. I mean, we're talking about a nationally televised game on ESPN, and these guys don't know that Robert Williams is locked in. They don't know Robert Williams was re-signed over.
They don't know that he's not a free agent next year.
Oh no, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh my God!
They don't know how important that move was. Clearly this would be an issue looming over this organization if that were the case. But how do you guys not know that? And I tell you how. Guys, just national media, a lot of these talking heads, NBA guys, they just slept on Robert Williams. They follow the narratives of the Celtics as it goes with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart and the brand new coach. But they don't always know the ins and outs of what this team has gone through, especially on the defensive end, And I think that's going to hurt his chances a bit with Defensive Player of the Year and maybe a couple of votes. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people have enough time to catch up.
Loves them?
It's not looking good.
You know who loves them some Robert Williams?
Who's that?
Doris.
Oh, Doris does. Yeah, she does.
Loves Rob.
She's hip. She knows what's good.
Loves.
But that's it.
Yeah.
And look, the thing about the Defensive Player of the Year. Look, I'm still on Team Marcus, so to speak, out of the divide here. But the way I see with this Celtics defense, there's layers to this, man. There's 3 of them, and a lot of that has to do. The reason why they're so stifling, Sherrod, the reason why guys are getting Roberts able to move the way he's able to, is because Al Horford has a lot to do with that as well. Now, Al Horford's in a good position, though. He's in a unique position that he doesn't have to be one of those top guys right now, which is why I think we're seeing that fountain of youth right now on the offensive end. Of course, also in concert with All-Star break. I still think that was significant for him, and that he's still looking, refreshed off that break, and hasn't really missed a step on both ends.
Yeah.
Well, see, the thing about Marcus is he is doing as good a job as you'll find a perimeter guy in guarding his yard. But here's the thing about Rob. Rob is guarding his yard and cleaning up the mess when others don't clean up their yard and aren't guarding their yard. And that to me, it really capsulized itself today, because there were a number of possessions where Golden State did a great job of dribble drive penetration, and Rob was waiting for them, and they were like, "Oh crap. What the hell are we going to do now?"
Yeah.
And when they tried to shoot, he either altered the shot or he forced him to make a bad decision and pass to a phantom teammate who was nowhere to be found, or he passed it to a teammate who was already tightly contested, which, again, it doesn't count as a contested shot. But if he forces you to pass to a teammate who's got Jaylen Brown up on him or has Tatum up on him, and that guy shoots, Rob deserves some of the credit for making that happen. And that, to me, in this game, really stood out to me. The fact that he was able to just impact the game on so many levels and layers. And again, no knock or shade against Marcus, because Marcus is a hell of a defender. And I still think Marcus should be in that top 5 conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. But I just think Time Lord is on a different level now because of the amount of ground that he's covering as a defender.
I'm with you, Sherrod, but let me ask you this, though. If Marcus doesn't get it this year, does it ever happen?
Like, no. This is his best year to get it.
Exactly. Yeah. This is his best chance. And I think Robert's going to have chances in his future. I really do. Like, this is just the beginning.
Agree.
I don't see it.
But yeah, I would love to see Marcus get it this year. I know
I would love to see that too, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to happen, because when you start going to the analytics and start looking at the numbers, it works against him. Marcus is a great defender. I mean, we all know that. But when you start looking at the impact that Rob has had on guys shooting against him, the fact that we're seeing a lot more turnovers guys are committing because of his presence, is hard to watch them play and not put him on a different level than Marcus.
Blocks are sexy. Big men typically win this award, and that's why I think Rob has a better chance. I think he gets canceled
out. That's why I like Marcus's tweet.
I think it works against him. I think he gets canceled out by the fact that you have outstanding defenders at that position in Gobert, Bam, Mobley, even throw in Allen. There's 4 guys in there. Like, honestly, you make a case of Rob falls in below 3 of them defensively. So Smart, to me, is the best defensive player on the best defensive team in basketball that relies entirely on switching. He's the guy. He makes it all happen. He's the communicator. He's calling everything out. That should count for something. And I've always said, a person who can guard multiple positions in and around the perimeter does a greater service to you and to your defense than the guy just sitting back there waiting to block the shots. I love Rob, but you guys know how much I love Rob. I'm still giving my vote to Marcus there.
Wow, that's saying a lot.
It is. I think he's, and I do think it's because I think almost all of those bigs that we mentioned, you can make a case for any one of them and you'd be fine. I don't think it's clear cut. This guy over this guy over this guy. I still think Gobert probably all around is still the most dominant, player there. I just don't see it going to a big and it not being Gobert. I just don't see it.
But you know what? I think what's going to help Rob's case, if there is anything, is the fact that the Celtics are winning with the best defense. And when you watch this team play, it's hard not to recognize the impact that he's making defensively, where I think Marcus does a great job at some of the more subtle nuances of defense. For example, communication, which, John, you pointed out. Marcus, I think, is one of the great communicators out there. I think that has value. You think that has value, but I'm not convinced the folks who are voting, the folks who are watching these games, understand how important that is. And so I think Marcus, again, to Josue's point, and I've written about this on fullcourtpress.bulletin.com, this is the best shot that he's going to have, but it's complicated for Marcus to win that award this year. I hope he wins it. I think he absolutely deserves it. But when I look at the games and I'm trying to think in the mind of the folks who are going to be voting on this, I'm I'm pretty damn convinced that they're going to look at Rob in a much different light than they look at Marcus. Whether that's right or wrong, to each his own. But I think that's the reality of what Marcus Smart is going to be facing, which is too bad because he's had a hell of a year defensively. And I'm wondering if Rob's presence is going to cancel out, to your point, John, those other bigs and make people say, well, he's really in the same category as Gobert and Bam, but Marcus is having a really great year. We'll just vote for Marcus. That could happen.
I feel it could happen.
It can happen, but I don't think it will, though.
Okay,
I blame
fair
analytics.
enough.
This is all analytics' fault.
Giving Sherrod a plug here. Subscribe to fullcourtpress.bulletin.com, as he mentioned there. That's where you can find several of Sherrod's written works, in addition to, of course, Bleacher Report and ebony.com. Bobby, you were just in a press conference here. What's going on?
Yeah, a few quick ones. Ime talking, Jalen talking. The play that Kerr was upset with was a big deal there. I don't know if you guys have gotten into that yet, but Ime pretty protective of Smart in that spot. Didn't really go after Kerr. I think the question there was sort of asking about how he would respond to Kerr going after one of his players. Didn't sound like Kerr went over the line or anything, but Ime was pretty adamant that there was nothing malicious there, nothing dirty, so they weren't sure what the Warriors were complaining about. Although the second play where he kind of kicked Clay in midair, that was a little, I'd say, borderline.
The Clay one was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that one,
he was trying to kick. He was going for the ball. What do you mean?
That was really bad and egregious, and he could have been tossed for that. Karate kicking a guy that was terrible.
It was on the same play.
The way Marcus has been passing lately, man, I trust it.
So that's the thing. I thought Kerr would be more upset about that play.
The Curry was just a regular play. He hit the ground. He rolled your guy up. Okay, don't be so fragile.
No, that's because he stares at his knees all the time to make sure that they don't get hurt. Kerr's done this before. Any sort of bang play that comes close to it comes close to Steph Curry's knees or anything that his ankles are sore, he gets like this all the time. I don't know. Yeah, I thought he overreacted, in my opinion.
I agree with that, Josue. There's a history there. Yeah,
there's a history. He just overreacted. And if it's another one of his guys, that you don't get nearly the same reaction that you get.
Curry's injury history, yeah, and I know you opened sort of talking about the impact of Curry going out. Curry was 1 of 4. Yeah, you were decent at waiting.
And he was definitely not going to score any more points. So you're right. It's a total wash.
Well,
it's not a big deal.
They had the Warriors just as an offense on lockdown. I mean, Golden State couldn't even get a paint
Dude, they
touch.
scored 38 points with Clay not hitting a shot and Curry not on the court in the third quarter. It's obviously that changes the game tremendously because Curry can erase a 15-point lead in like 90 seconds. So, I mean, that threat is always there. He gets hot. Like he can be shooting. He could be 1 of 15 and all of a sudden he just knocks down 5 straight right in your face. And it's, so it makes a huge difference.
8-point game. Yeah.
It does, but you established an incredible defensive, I thought, just baseline in the first quarter there where you hold them to, I think it was 17,
32.
So yeah, but just in the first quarter, they had nothing going for themselves because they were just launching threes essentially, and they were in great position to guard those threes. Golden State only really got like one quality post touch early, and that's where they definitely turned things around. The thirds, they started getting into the paint area, taking advantage of some of those loony switches and other things to get some touches close to the basket, because I think they shot like 17 of their first 26 shots from 3. They were just launching. It was like a Celtics style throwback, just heave it up because you can't get downhill or get any quality offense going there. So even before Curry went out, and you're right, John, it would have made a difference the rest of the way, but the Celtics had built a pretty impressive groundwork defensively there against, Wiggins being out. You're that worried about that? He's been terrible since the All-Star break.
Yeah, you said that, John, so matter-of-factly that I thought, wait, did I not hear him correctly? And then I just started laughing. I'm like, yeah, there's no way it would have made a difference. No.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I started the show with this, and I'm not.
They held them to 29%.
I understand. I'm not taking anything away. I just want to see a few games. I thought this was going to be one of those games, great barometer games, where you can see them for 4 quarters against a top-notch opponent because you want to see how good are these guys. And and then Wiggins didn't play, and then Curry goes down, and you didn't get it. You still dominated them thoroughly. It was an extremely impressive defensive performance. And before Curry went out, they absolutely, they made life miserable for him and everybody on the floor. None of that. It doesn't change any of that. You just want to see it. You just want to see if they went in there and they beat, Golden State at full tilt, full strength. You'd be like,
well, this
wow.
is what I talked about around the break, because nobody,
they just haven't done it. It's like there's
nobody's
games. There's
healthy.
Nobody's
right now.
healthy. There's like two games in the last 25, and so they're all
but
great
that's just
wins.
how it goes this time of year.
It's just how it's been.
So that was expected. The schedule was fairly easy from that point on. I mean, tonight they clinch a better record than last year's team on this night, going above 500 for the season here. So they have done a lot of work over a long span here, 30 plus games where they've been this dominant, and they have been tested. Denver, Brooklyn, Dallas. There's been numerous teams throughout the, nearly half a season now that they've been on this.
But that's it. It's actually, those are the three. It's Denver without two of their three best players, but that's how they've been playing all year. Brooklyn, that was a great game, obviously, and then Dallas is a competitive team, and you lost that. So again, it's you've only seen 3 games over the last 25 or so against a team that's going to look like what you're going to face in the playoffs, and you're preparing now. You're looking ahead. You're looking at a top 4, top 5 team in the Eastern Conference with all of their players, and you want to make sure that you can do this, so you just want to see it. That's all.
Let me split this into 2 conversations, because defensively, I think they've proven it. They've seen enough mammoth offenses,
definitely,
with plenty of guys intact to prove that defense is legit. The offense, I think you might have a point. You see the 2 best defenses aside from these past 2 games here in Golden State and Dallas, and you got stagnant. Yeah, you were missing a lot of shots. They're now 33%, back to that mark that they've been floating around over this year, over their last 9 games here since the Brooklyn one. So they're not shooting well.
Rough sailing for Tatum. Brown was able to kind of right the ship there. Absolutely, he wasn't.
So that's where we can have a conversation. But the defense is legit.
Yeah, and then Smart had a terrific offensive game, and that kind of bailed you out a little bit here, because you got 20 points out of Smart, and he was hitting everything, and he was outstanding all game long, both ends. So that was great. But again, it's a second straight game Tatum's really struggled to get to his spots and to knock down shots against premier defenses, and that's what you're going to face there. Is people making life really hard on him, blitzing him, double teaming him. He got frustrated there. He was turning the ball over. And so that's kind of a taste. That's a taste of what you're going to get when you're facing those better teams in the playoffs who are going to really come at you.
Yeah, you know what? And it's too bad that the Warriors weren't completely healthy, because Jaylen Brown stepped up, and that's exactly what we've been waiting for him to do. In the past couple of games, you're starting to see him his approach has changed a bit. He's making quicker decisions, getting to the rim, which has been great. But this game, I thought he put it all together nicely. I thought he had that well-balanced attack. He was getting those and ones, and he was sort of feeling himself, right? He was a little bouncy. He was like, okay, I got this now. I'm not going to turn the ball over like I used to. Those days are behind me. Like, you could see that swag in his step. And it would have been great to see him do that, against a fully healthy Golden State Warriors team, especially in that second half when the Celtics really needed it, man. Because, listen, Bobby, I know your boy Pritchard came through with those back-to-back 3-pointers. But before that, him and Derrick White, man, they were ice cold. And that scares me, because when that happens, and if Jaylen Brown is in nowhere near a groove that you need on the offensive end, while Jason Tatum's still trying to find his footing against a top-tier team, that's not going to cut it. That's most likely an L for the Celtics, So this is good that Jalen's starting to get these reps in, and it's encouraging that he's able to do this when in spots when Tatum's not feeling it, and he's a little ice cold on offense.
But I tell you what, though, you got to give Peyton his props, because he scored 8 in a row when they
went
cold. Yeah, when it was getting a little tight.
Cold. Yeah.
I mean, he came through. And that, I thought that may have been one of the best stretches by Peyton Pritchard in terms of his ability to make shots when they absolutely had to get shots made against a quality opponent. He came through. He was I thought he was one of, if you talk about the top 3, top 4 difference makers in this game, I think you got to put Peyton Pritchard in that conversation, because of the timing of the shots that he made and how that, I thought this was, again, a really good game for him because of what he was able to accomplish when it truly mattered.
Yeah, Sherrod liked it so much. He got the Pritchard jersey behind him. What was that, number 11? What was that?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
The sticks. You got the sticks. There you
right.
go.
That's the canter.
I'm interested too here.
That's the Sam Vincent is what that is.
This is becoming a little bit of a trend for Pritchard too here in these fourth quarters. He sprinkles in. It's very subtle, like 2, sometimes 3 as it was tonight. Key shots there in the fourth just to space things out. And over the last 5 games now, he's shooting 40, just under 40% from 3 in the fourth on a couple tries, 5 points per game in those quarters. And the Celtics ended up closing out 4 of those 5 games. So he's a small part of the rotation right now. But what was this in minute wise for him tonight? Very small minutes that he's putting in this kind of work. And this is what we said was going to be the key for him. In 18 minutes, 10 points, a couple assists, that nice downhill one to Brown. You come in and do that in 18 minutes, you're doing your job perfectly.
Well, he plays 18. Derrick White plays 22. So, there weren't, Williams 21. Yeah. Those were the 3 primary bench guys, all playing roughly about the same amount of minutes there. Rob only 24 minutes, which was interesting considering the impact he was making. I don't know if that small ball lineup played him off the court.
He had some garbage time too.
Yeah.
So he was great though in that first half. All the blocks, a couple impact offensive plays around the rim, piled up 5 rebounds in like the first 4 minutes there. So he's coming out storming to start these games. The team really looks great to open these first quarters, and that's been going on for a while now. And him in that starting lineup's a big part of that. I can't believe we were debating whether they should shake that up at one point because the season's almost over and it's still like a plus 30 per 100. So it's one of the best starting lineups, I'd say, ever.
In the history of mankind.
Statistically, it's got to be up there. It's crazy.
It's phenomenal, Bobby. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's the best lineup of all time. I think I say Celtics.
It's got to be. If we, I know we don't have the data.
By the way, phenomenal is a 1 seed in the bracket, just so you guys know.
Oh,
as it should be. As it should be.
That's looking like the Gonzaga of this, especially like what have you done for me lately?
Oh, Bobby.
That's got Gonzaga vibes. Yeah.
Recency bias is going to be huge on that one. I feel like some of the stuff people probably forget at this point, like the bubble jokes. Bone and bacon. I don't even know if that's in there.
Oh, I forgot about Bone.
Just last team out. It was one of the last 4 out.
Bone and bacon. I forgot about that. That was good stuff.
One of the biggest snubs of March.
That was a good one. Anyway, all right. Are you going to make me talk about it, or are you guys going to talk about it?
Who?
Come on.
Yeah, which direction are we going in?
Come on.
I don't know.
The legend?
It's very vague.
Another story. I think I'm picking up what he's putting down. I'm not sure.
You're going to make me bring it up? All right.
If it's what you think if it's what I think you're about to say, then yeah, you're bringing that up. I'm not bringing that up.
No, just this guy.
Wow. That is not good.
Yeah, that. Yeah.
Hey, I sort of brought it up when I talked about
he's
him and,
not
Pritchard's
even
production.
Close right now on his shots. None of them. Yeah. He almost airballed a
even
floater.
The
floater from 4 feet.
Yeah, I saw that.
I get it. Basketball's about more than shooting. I don't need lectures. We get it. It's great. He plays good defense. He does a lot of little things well. Holy wow, is this bad right now? Offensively.
Yeah, you may not even asked about post game. And he's been saying the same stuff about it for the most part, like all the little things, but you were looking for more than the little things here. And listen, if I'm going to be honest about what I expected from him, it was much higher than this. It was playmaking. It was a lot more work on the ball, running pick and rolls, which he did fairly well in San Antonio. Ran one good one tonight with Tice, Gauman and 1. So there's a sprinkles of impact there, but the scoring's non-existent. 0 points. You don't need more evidence of it than that. And
is that bad?
The shooting. Listen, if we were being honest about the shooting, we looked at it coming in and said, all right, he's going to play off Brown and Tatum. He's going to be wide open all the time.
And he is
going to go way up. and it's gone way down. It's worse than it was in San Antonio. So it's a slump now for sure, but he's probably somewhere in that 31, 33 range that he's been in his whole career, and you essentially just have two smart type shooters here.
It's been rough. Watching him out there on the offensive end of the floor. I love everything he does from a defensive standpoint. I love when he kind of locks into being a playmaker, but the shot making has been brutal. I mean, he's shooting he's not even shooting 25%. Coming into this game, he was shooting with the Celtics like 24, like 24.6% as a Celtic. And on a season, he's shooting just a shade over 30. He's probably a shade below 30 now if you factor in what he did tonight. That's just not going to get it done. It's just not going to work. You're going to win a lot of games in the regular season because there's such a great team defensively. But when you get to the playoffs, you're going to need guys to make shots off your bench. And if you're leaning on Pritchard to be that guy, if you're leaning on Grant Williams to be that guy, that's not going to get it done because those guys they fall a little bit higher on the scouting report pecking order than Derrick White. He's literally the guy that you are begging to shoot. And people often, joke about how Marcus Smart can't make shots, but not even Marcus went through slumps like this.
Marcus had some big ones tonight.
Marcus was great, but he's playing himself into a smaller role right now. And we thought for sure that the closing lineup would involve one big White, Smart, and the Jays, right? For sure. Mm-hmm. And it made sense because you have a guy who's willing to distribute and he's not selfish and he'll, give the game what it needs offensively, and he's a lockdown defender, and it just made you get to do your whole switchable thing and have your big presence there.
Fournier comparisons are rolling in.
But there was a lot of reasons to believe that it absolutely was going to go this way, and that's the type of guy he was going to be, right? I mean, that's what we thought. But right now we're looking at 22, 24 minutes. He had a 30-minute game in there, but before that, 20, 26, 28, 22, 20, 20. So, I mean, he's like down, in terms of his overall usage and what he's being trusted to do. And it has to be because they just can't be that offensively deficient.
Well, he's not unplayable because
it's not unplayable.
He's so good defensively.
It's not unplayable, but the lineups there tend to be the ones that go cold, and you can only sustain them for so long. So his stints are smaller and shorter than you would expect them to be.
And you're starting to see teams recognize that, and they are becoming, as you would imagine, a little bit slower to rotating when he has the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that it just kind of junks. It junks up their offense because they can't keep swinging the ball the way they want to because he's the one guy that teams are damn near begging to shoot. And just watching him out there struggle reminds us once again about how much of a lost opportunity we're looking at right now for Nesmith. Because there's a part of me that believes that as he struggles, Nesmith would get 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes to get out there get into a rhythm. And so again, this is yet another indictment against their young guys not being ready, whether it's injury, obviously what he's dealing with now, but even when he was healthy, he wasn't making the most of those opportunities to frankly assert himself and get a spot in the regular rotation.
Well, I like that you bring him up. They're gonna need a guy like that to be in the picture.
They're gonna need him.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to answer that call.
Josue,
you can always put him out there, but how many times has he actually picked up that phone and delivered?
Who's this?
Nesmith.
We'll see. I'm
on a game like this, you'd be thinking about it.
Yeah, but I don't see what worried me about White's approach is he was driving to the hoop and he was still coming up short. Like I would like to see him try to find other ways to work. Work without the ball in his hand. Get open, get more backdoor cuts. More moves in transition. You see him when he's in transition and like he just wants to get the ball out of his hand. Try to find some momentum offensively. Get a couple layups going. I'm not saying I want him to take. I'm not saying I want to take 12.
First game of the season,
but he's got to do better.
His first game with the Celtics was like his best game. Basically,
that one was up there.
That's
but
his best game, but his first couple of weeks too.
I'm thinking of the Hawks. I'm thinking of the Hawks game where they started running plays for him, getting him downhill on White, around screens and other things. It's exactly what you talked about, Josue. They run some plays for him, make him more involved. He shouldn't be a corner shooter. Like they're mismanaging him this.
I don't think he's
right
being
now
used
offensively.
Great right now. You don't want him off the ball. You don't want him standing around in a catch and shoot position because he's bad at it.
But it's the balance between him and Brown. And right now, I thought especially early in this game, they were really emphasizing getting Brown the ball in his hands, especially with the struggles he's been going through recently, and getting him quality looks. And if you're giving White more ball time in that second unit, it's less ball time for Brown. And they're really trying to make Brown a big threat right now in terms of what they're doing, especially with Tatum off the floor when they're blitzing Tatum. So there's almost like this, we saw it with Kemba and Brown, and we saw it with, Kyrie and Brown. It's sort of this just ball time dilemma that they are having on these second units staggered in, where it's like, all right, do you empower Brown more, or do you give the point guard more leeway here? And I think they're sort of caught between those two. I mean, those two put up a 50 offensive rating against Dallas, White and Brown. So neither of them are doing great things with the second unit. And honestly, I think the second unit is a little concerning right now when you see Grant coming back to earth. Tice kind of being in and out of the rotation there. And
I think it was always concerning them. I mean, that's the thing, Bobby. I think it was always concerning. I mean, it looked
but
great. But
shouldn't this guy have solved it, White?
No,
not necessarily. Yeah, he was supposed to be more of the glue guy. But if you wanted him to be your Fournier or even your Gordon Hayward in sense of the scoring impact, that just wasn't never going to be him. I don't think that was the case when they made the trade.
No,
listen, everyone's freaking out in the chat about us being dumb and not seeing the small impact. We all see the smaller impact.
Yeah, we get it, guys. Jeez, come on.
But listen, the expectations were high.
Come on, guys, it's late. Stop it! Don't get John on.
But you gave up something, things that some picks and some assets for a guy who you wanted to come in and be more than what you're seeing now, and he's not. So just what's the big deal? That's the thing. That's what we're talking about. This is a real thing. You need things, and he's not providing all of those things right now. So don't just say he's not that guy. Well, then maybe you should have gotten a different guy. That's the point. Is you needed someone to solidify that second unit who could run the second unit offense, who could score points when it was needed, who was consistent. One of the things remarkable about Derrick White was you looked at his box scores, and every single game was 14, 15, 16, 14, 13, 17. He was fairly consistent. He was an efficient player. He's not a great shooter, but he does a lot of other things well. He comes over here and he's a bricklayer. So it's great that he plays defense. We recognize this. We recognize it, but he's killing the offense because he can't freaking shoot right now. You can't be that bad.
Yeah, he's still putting that hard hat on, though. All right, he's still giving you good defense.
You assume he regresses to the mean and it gets back up there, but it's still, you're talking about a career 31% 3-point shooter. So you're not going to get that from him. You want to see some of the other stuff more consistently.
Yeah, and when you talk about consistency, the thing I want to see from him, and I don't think this is a big ask, is make at least half of your open shots. I don't think that's asking a lot for an NBA player to make open shots. And that, to me, is the most frustrating part about Derrick White, is that he's showing an inability to do that at all. Forget about doing it consistently. Like tonight, this was kind of a microcosm of what we've seen the last couple of weeks.
Oh my
last
God,
game he was 2 for 10.
Killing
tonight,
me right
0
now
for
in
8.
the chat. Sorry. Yeah. Oh my God.
If this was an L, they would feel a lot differently.
I did miss the 4 assists. Oh my goodness, he had 4 assists.
If
fine,
the Celtics
guys.
Lost tonight, it would be way different.
Sherrod, we're trying to make a point. You're gonna need if you're going to put him out there, you're gonna swing the ball around. He's gonna be wide open, and there's a shot that he has to take. He has to be able to make them more consistently. He is wide open on these shots, wide open, and he just can't hit them right now. And it's bad. It's noticeable.
Yeah,
and it's costing him minutes. Ime sees it. Ime's playing him less right now, guys. It's not made up in this post game show. It's a problem. Yeah. It's an actual problem.
I guess what I'm trying to say also is I think it's more likely that we'll see someone like Peyton Pritchard just go on a hot streak or so. And what I mean by a hot streak, I mean like something like this tonight, where he just gives you that 8-10 minute quarter that you needed in the second half. It came off the bench. Maybe he goes on a streak or whatever you want to call it, and he makes another leap and being that guy that can produce off the bench. I think that happens. We're more likely to see that happen than someone like Nesmith come in and start playing 10, 11 minutes and become somebody that can give you 6, 7 points off the bench. But the fact that someone like Derrick White, that his offense to this point is going to diminish his impact, or not his impact, but his minutes. Like, this shouldn't impact his minutes. And I think the reason that it is because in that third quarter, things got a little scary, right? I mean, the Golden State Warriors in 6 minutes cut that lead down to 10. And of course, Jordan Poole had a whole lot to do with that. So they needed to counteract that. And I think that's what scares me the most. If when there's another Jordan Poole going off, and if someone like Brown's not feeling it and Tatum's a little cold, you're going to need someone to come up with offense. You're going to need some scoring. And I think that's what John's trying to say, everyone, and that's what White's not giving you right now.
I take it back. It's perfectly fine that White's missed every shot. Perfectly fine. Move on to the next topic. I think it's good for the Celtics that he's missing all these shots. All right, let's move on. My God. It's actually good. It's helping them. It's helping them. If you really know basketball, you know that these missed shots are helping them.
When they get an L, when you see another L and Derrick White's like 1 for 9 that night, they'll know what you're saying. They'll know what you're saying. I'm telling you.
Oh man. Anyway, this is, again, you're nitpicking here and you're looking at it from the White perspective. Fine. Move on to another topic. What do you guys got?
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else about another bench player.
No. I mean, look, it's the reason you talk about things like this is not because you're sitting here trying to find like the one thing that didn't. It's because you're now looking way ahead. You're looking way down the road, into the future, into the playoffs, and thinking, how's this going to work here? You now have bigger hopes, bigger aspirations. You're not taking small moral victories like, okay, a win is good because, they lost the last game and you were playing 500 ball and you're taking anything. Right now you're looking at, how's this going to work? With this team, how good can they be? What's their ceiling? Can they beat good teams when they get to the playoffs? So that's why you look at it, because it has long-term implications. White can't play like this in the playoffs. He can't. It would really kill them. It would really be
in a series.
I just got the number. 23% on wide open threes. So
that's the problem. It's the wide open stuff that's killing you right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's gonna get.
But I think
you can't be that bad on wide open shots. You just can't.
I think this team as a whole needs to adjust its approach when the threes aren't falling. And he did a good job of that against Detroit, getting downhill, second level drives. White's good at those, but you aren't seeing enough of them. And you're not seeing the aggression in the lane. Again, when they set up the offense for him in that Atlanta game, that's where he really got going. But
I think part of that, I think part of that has to do with the fact of how teams are defending him. Because remember, early on when he came to Boston, he was knocking down shots. He was hitting those open shots. And so teams defended him a certain way that allowed him to beat them off the dribble, get into the lane, and do some work there. But when he's not knocking down open shots, you're going to see him out there as a defender, and your first instinct is to take a step back, to give him more space to shoot and dare him to beat you with the jump shot. And that's why I think we're seeing a decrease in him getting to the rim, because there's nowhere to go at the rim because defenses are allowing him to shoot. And he's got, like most of the Celtics players, if you're wide open, Ime is not going to discourage you from shooting. And so he has to find a way to start knocking down open shots, even if it means dribble drive into the lane and shoot a long two. I'd much rather him start doing something to get a little bit closer to the rim, even if it's taking a long jumper versus a three-point shot, which is a shot he's not knocking down at all now.
No, and that's what the reason I pointed out that floater is because now he's in his own head. This is the first night. This was the first night of the whole time you saw his shoulder slump and you saw it actually kind of affecting him a little bit on the defensive end. He was just clearly like, I remember on that, which ball was it that he barely nicked the rim and
the floater.
And no, the other one where Grant got the rebound and put in the dunk.
Oh, yeah. It was a 3, wasn't it?
I think it was a 3 that he just scraped the front of the rim.
Scraped the rim, yeah.
And Grant got it and put it home, and White was like, man, he's like, I'm glad that happened, but oh my God, am I missing that? And then he
about to flip out, right? Yeah.
Almost airballed the floater from 3 feet. He's in his head right now. So that little floater game and that in-between game, he has that in his bag. That's what he kind of does. He's not a leaper. When he goes to the basket, he's not going to go up, with authority and drive it by people. So that's kind of his game right there. But now he's even thinking about that because I think he's just mentally so consumed by it.
Yeah, and I think we're being tough on him, but it's not emergency lights. I think we're honing in on this because it hasn't been talked about a lot, but the other things do make him extremely valuable. And you said it, Josue. He's not in danger of being passed in the rotation and needing to mix it up or you're putting Pritchard over him either because the other stuff still is so strong. I mean, they've gotten even better as a defense. They were excellent as a defense, and they've gotten even better since he arrived, and he's a big part of it. He makes a ton of plays on that end, the charge takes, the steals, even just on ball and switching and all the different kind of stuff there. I tend to agree with this comment here that he'll be fine. That they don't need him to blow it up offensively. You just need more than this. And that's not a reach for him to get to.
That's not a reach. You just need more that you don't need. You don't need 25 points a game. You just need more than this. That's it. And look,
and you still win a game where he does
this. Shiny new toy. You got it. You want to see what it can do. First game, and there was a couple of games early where he made an impact in a million different ways, and everyone's like, all right, I got it. You're now talking about a 10-12 game stretch here where the shooting has been so abysmal, it's hard to not talk about it. So again, you hope that it eventually rights itself, but right now it's just rough.
We hope he does, because otherwise in a week or so we're gonna have John over here mentioning the Josh Richardson.
I'm not talking. I wasn't in love with anything that I wasn't in love with.
Yeah, but that extra year on that don't act like
I wasn't in love with Romeo.
He had an extra year on this contract that the Celtics could flip during the offseason.
Maybe
you got that
it's
in
not
your back pocket.
It's not that. My beef has always been you only have X amount of assets or money or whatever it is to make your moves.
So make sure you get the right guy.
Make sure you get the guy. Okay. So the argument I always put out there is if you had 20 million of cap space this offseason and you're thinking around and you're like, going through your shopping, let's say you'd not made the White trade and you just had 20 million bucks. Is Derrick White the type of player you'd want them to go out and sign? Like, you're better for having him on your team versus not. But if you were looking around the landscape, you might think I might take that 20 mil. I've only got this. My house needs all these repairs. Like, what am I going to fix? What's the thing I need most? And you might have put it towards something else. That's what you're comparing it to, not to Richardson. He's better defensively than Josh Richardson. I think Josh Richardson's shooting was eventually going to come back down to earth because I don't think he's a 40+% 3-point shooter.
Well, we're never going to know.
Romeo proved to be useless. First round picks are rolls of the dice, even though it is risky. The problem with trading them is you don't know what else you could have traded them for. So again, you got one shot, you load it up. This is everything you had to make a trade with. You did it. You got this guy. You hope for the best because now that's what you have here. That's it.
The reason I brought up Richardson just real quick is just that not only of what he was doing on the court, but more so of what he meant as an asset, right? That extra year, I mean, maybe you could flip him for someone else down the road.
I think people knew.
I thought you would use that one, as sort of a big reason as to, well, why do they believe so much in Derrick White if this thing blows up in their face? Why not use that chip later down the road? That's what I meant by that. Like in a week or so, if he's still shooting another 20%, that you may use that. But and I'm sure some fans may feel the same way. But right now, I think when the majority of Celtics fans, they like what they see so far from Derrick White. They're not concerned, I guess. Like we should say, they're not concerned.
There's a lot of people who are concerned. There's a lot of people who are like, he'll be fine. I don't know why you think he'll be fine. He's just not a good shooter. I don't think he'll be fine. I think he'll be better. I
didn't like the Richardson comments, and we got a lot of them when it first happened. That people were gonna miss him. The fans really fell in love with him. I know Sherrod and Josue and we were talking after the Brooklyn game, and they didn't want to trade Richardson. When it was right before the deadline there, and I thought you had to maximize his value, and I felt like they did a good job doing in the deal that they eventually made. But looking at how sparsely San Antonio has used them and how little need they have for a guy like that, you do wonder if you had some stomach as Boston and eat some tax, whether you could have kept Richardson, use salary to get White with the picks, and kept both players.
Yeah.
If you were willing to pay the $11 million or whatever it is in
That's
tax,
what I've been
because
saying, Bobby.
You avoided the tax this year. Now we're talking, well, I'm talking championship. And you're not a tax-paying team. And is that going to limit you in your ability to contend this year?
That's always been the problem. I think that's a piece of the tax argument that people were ignoring, which was always you either go under or you go over, but you only go over to get that big-time player. But what you also would go over to do is not have to basically sell off assets.
You could have put White into the TP, actually.
Yeah, not to sell off assets. You could have absolutely done that. You could have done lots of things. If Richardson wasn't a valuable chip in that trade and all you needed was money matching, you could have not made the Hernan Gomez deal and had that as your money.
You had the TP, John, so you didn't even need
and you had the
Gomez.
TP. And if you wanted to, and if you could have convinced them that the Richardson part was just money matching and it was moving over there, you could maybe hold on to something that how much better? Look, put it this way: how much better would you feel about the bench if you had White and Richardson right now? A great deal better,
It'd
right?
be amazing.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like the best bench in basketball.
Phenomenal.
I think Bobby thinks it might be the best bench.
The best bench in all of NBA history.
I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would have used the word amazing.
Grant, White, Richardson.
Forget about him.
Tice.
I don't know.
You'd have a lot. I mean, suddenly you'd be looking at like 3, maybe 4 guys to 4, maybe 5.
Did you just say Tice?
That's a big difference. Tice is in the mix.
Say Tice.
Okay. You got Tice right now. What do you mean, Bobby?
Listen, I never knew I'd be going to bat for Richardson like this, but he's looked pretty good in San Antonio too. I think I underrated him a little bit coming into Boston. I had said that after seeing him play with the Celtics.
Look, so I'm messing around. I mean, obviously the bench would help. It would help the second unit right now. But at the same time, I don't think that was in the cards. I honestly think
we don't know.
And the Spurs, they wanted to fleece the Celtics. Okay, maybe it wasn't Richardson, but it was going to be something. It was going to be a trade where they flat out win.
They might be able to flip him for another first.
Obviously, right. They might be able to. Obviously, the 2 first-round picks were sealed the deal, but also they were going to take those options. They're going to take those assets. Someone like Richardson who has that extra year. I think that extra year makes him a lot more valuable wherever he is right now. And that's exactly why San Antonio said, no, we're going to need Richardson in this deal as well.
It's interesting. We should try to track down that answer, do some reporting here. It's CLNS. But
yeah, we gotta sell that. We gotta sell that tequila, man. You know, we've gotta,
exit interviews. We'll talk about it.
I'm very curious how those negotiations went down. I mean, even the pick swap, like, where does that come from?
I don't know. I don't know. That one's gonna bug me.
Listen,
we need a Bobby and Brad Stevens 1-on-1.
Hold on, guys. Let me. I'm gonna just throw out there the commentary here from Smart and Kerr. Everybody made nice after the game. Kerr said, a lot of respect for Marcus. Hell of a player. We talked after the game. We're good, but I thought it was a dangerous play.
I knew it.
Smart on the convo with Kerr. I don't think so either. He's doing what any coach, any player would do. And that's backing up his guy. At the end of the conversation, he told me, you're one of the guys I want on my team. Added, Kerr knows he would never try to hurt anybody. So, little bit of an emotional reaction by Kerr and then mutual admiration society sort of stuff. Yeah.
I love the composure that the Celtics showed through that stretch in the first half. I mean, there was some real toughness, I thought, on their part when Green was slapping away at Horford and Horford was telling him off in response. And just the chippiness that the Warriors were trying to throw back at the Celtics after those plays there, they stood up pretty well too. And it was actually the Warriors picking up the technicals and complaining and getting outside their game, stuff that we've seen the Celtics do in their own right in those kind of spots. So I thought Smart held his own in a good way there. I love the back and forth between those two. And again, I think this team has become a lot more mentally tough, sustaining runs and difficult situations like that. Smart picking up the flagrant and just a really chippy first half that I thought was a good example of how a playoff series can go. I loved that. Team.
I loved it.
Especially when you got Draymond barking. When you got Draymond in his
feelings, they shook Draymond right
and
off.
You're getting the best of
looking at you.
Yeah, you're getting the best of him too.
Exactly.
You get under his skin and he's not the one getting under your skin. That's great. You're doing something right there.
How about Al, right? And Al's done this in the past, but
I love that.
Do it. Yeah, but you know what he did, right? It's you're talking to the referee, but I'm going to answer it for you. No, that wasn't a call of Draymond. Draymond's like, are you like, don't talk to me right now. I'm talking to the ref, and Al's responding back to him as if he's the referee. Oh man, I love that. You can see it was under. He got under his skin. He did. That's exactly.
That was an OG move. That was such an OG move.
I love
with
that.
the smirk.
Part.
With the smirk, yeah.
Because you know, Al, at some point, Al's gonna start nodding the head like,
"Yep."
And you're just like, "Shut up, Al! Shut up!
Right.
Just shut up!" And
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Ref, right?
I love that about Al.
Green is really something. I mean, he gets a lot of technicals, and he deserves a lot more.
Oh yeah,
man.
He could have easily been.
He's great. He's graded on a curve. Yeah,
he's got a lot more grumpy over the years, man. He's like, it's like he's turned into like that veterans on his last couple of years, which he obviously isn't, but he just has that demeanor right now.
Yeah, he's got a tremendous amount of runway they give him to just kind of fly off the handle that most players don't get. So
another moment I love was him blowing up that play against Grant, and Grant just scrapping nonstop to get the jump ball back. There was a lot of good, tough plays from the Celtics in this one.
I like that a lot too, because Grant wasn't prepared for the Cobra strike there, and Draymond just got him with it. But then he stayed. He hit the ground. He fought.
Tatum went to the rim a ton. Just a lot of great stuff out of this game. I mean, it was another. I know you would have loved to have seen it with Curry involved the whole way, but you still play one of the toughest defenses. Jordan Poole went off against you. Draymond's out there. Road game on the West Coast after just traveling out there. There's a lot of stuff that you love here. And they had the crowd dead silent. I know Ime's talked about this a lot for almost the whole first half, just based off the defense that they were playing. So they took them out of the game too.
35 points against the Mavericks in the first half, 32 points against Golden State is really just putting the clamps on people here. So that's been.
And now you get to play the Kings.
Huh?
You get to play the Sacramento Kings.
Oh, the revamped Kings. Let me tell you guys quickly. We're gonna keep Drapes. It is. We're gonna keep going a little bit here. Just let you guys know about one of our sponsors, Coda, project management tool for your teams out there. If you are leading a team or running an office or doing all sorts of different things, Coda is the thing for you to help you get everything organized. You can go to coda.io/garden, get started for free. Customizable, connected templates for anything and everything, roadmap, onboarding, projects, meeting notes, trackers, all sorts of different things. Rather than have it all over the place, go to Coda. You can sync it all together. You can make an update in one place and it's going to show up somewhere else. It's actually a really cool thing. So check it out. Once again, head over to coda.io/garden. Get started for free right now. What's better than free? Give it a shot. Also, as we let you guys know from time to time, Discord server here. You can join our Discord server, clnsmedia.com/Discord. Chat was bumping throughout the game. I don't know if you guys popped in there or not, but it was pretty. People were pretty animated. They were into this one, so a good thing to do when you're watching the game. It's fun to jump in right after. Sometimes guys here on the Garden Report will jump in and chat with you guys as well. So clnsmedia.com/Discord. We're trying to get to 1,000. I think we're around 800 right now. So let's get those numbers up. What else you guys like from tonight's game?
I think Bobby just touched on it. Just Tatum going to the rim, drawing contact, being physical, being just finding ways to win. And you need to be like that on nights when you can't make shots, when you're not making shots, your opponent's not making shots. You have to find ways to still be productive. And I thought Tatum did a good job on a night where he didn't shoot the ball particularly well of still finding ways to impact the game in a positive way for these guys.
That's how I feel about Jalen. I mean, I know I said that earlier, but those and ones, man, him doing the flex and all that, give me more of that. All this entire West Coast trip, I'd love to see him continue to do that and get to the free throw line, make that a normal thing. So
and I'm gonna bring it back to Smart. 20 points, 8 assists there.
Can we talk about his dimes? Actually, good call, Bobby. Let's talk about his passing right now, man. Some of these assists, man, they're getting just better and better. I mean,
his offense this year, you got to be impressed.
Is in a groove, and everything's just clicking right now. But some of these
he's finishing at the rim, and that's something. We dog his 3-point shooting all the time, but he's not good around the rim, and historically, and he's been hitting those little floaters, finishing with the left off the backboard. He's finishing a lot more efficiently now. It really is incredible because he's able to play. he's able to muscle some guys.
That up and under, he's been muscling through with the up and under.
Yeah.
And it's been one of those, like, you think it's not going to go all the way, and it does, and then he's
getting guys
back.
Yeah, he's not that quick, obviously, but he gets guys on his hip, and he's been able to kind of finish through contact, and it's been really impressive. And a couple of the threes he knocked down tonight were contested. They were guys were closing out quick, came to him, and he friggin' drained them. I mean, this was an incredible offensive game.
He's shooting well in 2022. He really is.
38%
threes going in. Yeah,
the threes are 28% for the first few months. I think 38% since the beginning of the year. So total turnaround in terms of the way he was shooting. I mean, he was 38-29 splits, through the first half of the year or something like that. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, we talked about it all the time.
Yeah,
it feels like it was
it's incredible.
Last season, but it wasn't last season.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
If we're gonna throw it back to last season and STFU and John's criticisms, and listen, none of us here ever thought he had an offensive leap in front of him, not only from a point guard perspective, but all the scoring stuff we're talking about here. And he's done it. He is having the best year of his career by far. We're talking about him winning a Defensive Player of the Year, which is unimaginable when it looked like he was actually declining in that area of his game a year ago at times. And to get this much better this deep in your career, it doesn't really happen, Sherrod. Like, there's not many examples, I think, of a guy this far in having a leap like this.
Well, I think the one thing that we're kind of forgetting about with Marcus Smart is he just turned 28 years old, and guys typically are at their peak in their mid to late 20s. So Marcus, I mean, what we're seeing now, I think, is
he's on time.
It's the best version of Marcus Smart that we're going to see. I don't think we're going to see him reach many more levels in terms of his improved offense or defense or anything like that. And if you're the Celtics, that's fine, because you got a guy in, Derrick White, who I think you think could potentially supplant Marcus as your elite premier defender, wing defender.
So. I don't know now.
Well, I mean, Marcus is a better all-around player than Derrick White now. I don't think there's much debate of that. And that's not a knock against Derrick White. It's just the reality of what we're seeing right now.
I don't want to turn this back into white bashing, but I've been super critical of Smart, in just his inconsistencies on offense, taking too many shots. And look, again, the things we were critical of him for a career, he doesn't do as much of. He's not launching 8, 10, 12 threes a game. He's not, just doing those things in wild, inconsistent passes. He's incredibly under control. He's much more efficient. And he's healthier this year, so the defense has been there all year long. So he's playing out of his mind. But I didn't want to make it white bashing, but it's
But here we are.
When Marcus isn't in the game and it's White, I'm hyperventilating. I'm like, get Marcus back in there,
And that's been a story all year. When Smart comes off the court, they get disorganized.
They get really disorganized because we thought it would be like, interchangeable parts. You've got Marcus 1 and Marcus 2, and it hasn't been.
No.
And in every way imaginable. It's not just the shooting. I never thought I'd long for Marcus Smart's shooting over someone. But it's everything, because the way Marcus controls things right now, it's a different level than what White is doing, and it's a noticeable difference. So when he's not on the court, I'm like, we got to get Marcus back in now, and that's that's how well he's playing. But it really is, you really see it. And you thought, when we got him, Bobby, some people were saying like, well, this could be the Marcus replacement, and we're fine with that.
I was thinking
and now I'm like, no, you cannot do that. You can't do that.
So this is where we got to turn this to the big picture, because I think we're living in the moment a lot with this team, which is good. I think they're a serious contender here, so we got to see it through. But they're sort of where they're going to be with this group. We thought about like who could be expendable here. How could they make a improvement into the future? Well, now they've traded picks. They have locked in on Rob, who I think a lot of people think is untouchable.
Their core four is outstanding, but there's not much behind it right now.
Yeah, so I guess that's how you improve, possibly, is along the edges, and maybe this team looks better with more depth. But is this top 4 or 5 enough? Horford's probably part of the long-term picture now, too, which was unimaginable, even for me. I didn't expect him to suddenly be a 3-4 year option for this team coming back, but you get through that deal next year. maybe comes back at the minimum after that, late in his career, and is in a smaller role. And that looks like sort of the path that Horford's going to be on now, unless something crazy happens this offseason. So this is your team, which isn't a bad thing, but you do have to ask, is this a championship core here? And I think it can be, but it's tough.
It would be if you drafted better. And that's the reality is the draft is what killed.
So that's
them
where you're gonna have to hit, right? Is like those second rounders and undrafted guys.
You're not hitting on second rounders. That's the point. Is like if you looked at this team and you had Bane and Maxey instead of whatever you ended up with, it's a totally different team. And you're not even thinking about. You're probably not even making trades at the deadline. You're like, this is awesome. Like
is it Yam and Begarin?
Yeah.
Yam and Begarin coming to save the day next year.
Yeah. So.
See, those are good examples of second round picks right there, Bobby. That's second round talent right there. That's the batch you're picking from.
We're at the Bobby is the rock portion of the booby.
Is that in the bracket?
Oh, it's in the bracket. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I think the what was it, the Vegas summer league hat, I think that's gonna be one that gets in the Final Four. I don't know if I had to guess. Out of the Josue Pavon region, that's got a good shot.
You wonder if Josue Pavon.
The Josue Pavon region. We will let you guys
know. Good job with that, John.
Great region. Great region.
That's a tough region. That's going to be tough to get out of that run.
It's tough to get out of there. Yeah. It's a tough bracket.
We'll be releasing the rest of these on Twitter and kind of putting them out. They're going to be alive. First round matchups are going to be rolling all the way through this weekend. So you got time to vote, but make sure you pop in there and give it a vote. It's fun. Share the polls with people you think might be watching the show who would get it and who, think that this kind of thing is funny or interesting.
I know, right? Or just or not, whatever.
A lot of or not. And I totally get the or not. It's fine. That's fine too. That's fine too. Merch is next. Merch with the winners. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one more thing I want to talk about before we get out here is the seeding situation, which
of my poll.
No, of the East.
Oh, okay.
Bobby's like, no, the Eastern Conference, John.
I'm kidding.
How you feeling about how this is shaking out right now? So I kind of put the numbers together. It's still tough to predict because it's so tight, but it feels like the Chicago thing is the number one thing that they're looking here at by far, unless Philly goes in the tanking direction here. And I know they won tonight, so they're hanging in there. But the Celtics are now in a virtual tie with Chicago for 4, tied with Philly in the win column for 3. And they have tiebreakers over most of these teams. They still have to clinch the Chicago one with that April game, but they're in a pretty good spot to rise here. But everyone's
one of the last games of the season.
Everyone's worried about Brooklyn rising up here and being a first-round opponent. So you more comfortable staying in that 4-5 spot, or do you want to rise as far as you can here and just say, screw it, we'll play whoever. Just get that home court.
I'm still saying you go for home court. You try to avoid Brooklyn, though. I mean, it's hard to say exactly how far they're going to surge, but yeah, you do risk them hitting the 5th, and you end up seeing them in the first round. So,
or like a 3-6 could be a possibility because that 6 is wide open right now. Toronto's making a run at it. I mean, that is our dream matchup, right? If any of the Toronto fans in the chat tonight,
Toronto,
we want the Raptors.
Bobby just wants to go to Toronto. Bobby got his passport ready. That's why.
Well, not only that, but our viewership when we played Toronto, and that series was great. How much fun?
Do they still like us?
Series? I don't know. It's been a minute since they've been relevant, and they've been great this year.
It's been a minute since they were the champions, so I don't know how they feel about us now.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you're. I mean, at this point. Though. I think it doesn't matter. You just desperately want to avoid 1 or 2 because you just don't want to play Brooklyn.
Probably not going to get 1. But
right.
2?
But you Brooklyn's going to end up in that 7 or 8 spot, and you don't want to have any chance of playing them. So you don't want to go higher than 3.
Are you really scared of them? I know it'll be tough.
Versus every other possible opponent from
Is it Chicago tough too? Fully loaded?
Not like Brooklyn.
No, man. You don't want anything to do with Brooklyn.
Yeah, not as tough as Brooklyn.
I know Kyrie dropped that 60. So it'll be interesting. But his availability is going to be the real swing factor for them. Do you think he's going to get in there full time? I know we're all just here, but do you think he'll be back full time for the playoffs?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Probably.
It's tough to tell. I mean, if he's not, they're in real trouble. The Simmons thing, who knows? But I'm going to keep bringing that up because, listen, I don't believe in the Nets. And there's a lot of hype. There's a lot of sympathy for Kyrie right now, which, fair or not, he made his decision and it's had the impact that it's had there. So I don't know. I'm not betting on them to come out of the East as a 7 seed or an 8 seed.
I just don't want to play Brooklyn. That's it. I think any of the teams from the 3 seed on, any of the teams you're playing there, I think the decent matchups that you feel pretty good about. The things you're most scared of, Milwaukee, now that they have Lopez back and fully healthy.
I'm scared of them.
I'm scared of them for sure, but you're not going to get them in the first round, so don't worry about that. And Philly, I don't know what to think of Philly right now. That one, I initially would have had them. Miami, I think, is going to be really tough. I know they've played them well this year. I think Miami's tough, but I think all those other teams, like Cleveland, Chicago, Toronto, those teams in there, you're okay playing any of those. Like, it's going to be hard no matter what. There's no cupcakes, but there's teams if you did run into them, you'd be like, this is bad. So
who they have to avoid at all costs? The Pistons.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
That they don't. Yeah,
they won't have to worry about that.
Don't have to worry about it. All right, we are going to wrap it up. I did want to say thanks to everybody for staying up late with us, and thanks for the guys here on the Garden Report for jumping on here on a school night. Sherrod is headed out west. I think he'll be in Sacramento for the next game. So that's good. Jimmy is going to be back.
I like that arena. It's a good spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That team, though?
Yeah.
They're a questionable franchise.
As far as those polls go, guys, if you have voted here in YouTube, but you want to get we're aggregating votes, okay? The rest of the other polls can be found on Celtics CLNS Twitter. So go check it out. You can vote there with you and all of your burners. If somebody's losing right now and you want to boost them, head over to Celtics CLNS. You can tweet there as well. We will aggregate all of the votes.
Who's your pick to win, John?
Of our poll?
Yeah.
Phenomenal. But I don't know. Might be Smart.
Smart's a long time ago. See, I think the recency bias is going to be strong there.
Yeah, Jimmy Homeschool is losing right now as a 1 seed.
That is stunning.
Upset city right now.
I mean, that's a.
I think it's
wow.
My sleeper is us not talking about Jaylen Brown. That's a sleeper.
Yeah, especially Jaylen.
That's my Loyola of Chicago pick right there.
Wow.
I feel good about
who's
that.
Arizona? Which one's Arizona?
Yeah.
I'm thinking Jimmy Homeschool because Homeschool should win, but for whatever reason, I don't know.
Upset.
I got to look at the bracket. I'm doing them all last second, so I'll be back with a pick on.
But phenomenal, I think, will probably carry the crown.
I have not. But somebody Fuzzy's saying Bobby Bucket Hat. I think that's a good sleeper. I have that.
Josue said that. Yeah,
I have that as one of my sleepers.
That's a third seed. So.
Another sleeper. Another sleeper here saying Herman Gomez is a sleeper.
Won't get out of the first round. They
have a tough matchup.
Yeah, will not get out of the first round.
Really? I like
it's
Herman.
all about the matchups.
I was getting some results here. Right now we had Marcus is winning big. Bobby is the Jimmy Homeschool is
I'm seeing Homeschool in front.
Yeah, Tatum Bike Watch is ahead of the Horford jersey. And let's see
someone said they were upset that the Horford jersey might lose.
Rob Stock.
Bike Watch. That's gonna be a strong one too.
Brockton Wi-Fi is a big winner.
Herman
as a 2 seed wins that one as well. Bucket Hat is a 3 seed, overwhelming winner over Turkey Burgers right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beef burgers is fine.
Beef burgers is where it's at. Right?
We did leave out a couple ones. Next time we'll open it up for suggestions if we do something like this again. This would have been good. Bobby doing Bobby being a foot taller than Josue at the Garden.
That is popular in the comments.
That's gonna be in there next year.
Listen, Josue, I lean more
That's
toward
a Sweet
like
16 pick.
I lean more
easily.
toward like I'm 6'7" and Josue's 6 feet.
No, I always tell people Bobby's still growing. All right, he's still a growing boy. So he's gone from 6'1" to 6'4" in the last couple of years.
Might be true.
Yeah.
I'm not even exaggerating, actually.
All right, we're on to
6'1" to 6'4".
We're on to the Kings, guys.
One time you had Tim's on, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Bobby one time pulled up to the Garden with Tim's on. I'm like, really, Bobby?
Come on, buddy. Yeah,
It was snowing.
that's funny. All right, again, thank you guys. Good night. Like I said, go vote on those polls if you want. Give us a follow, Celtics CLNS. Join Discord. Follow us on Twitter. Do all that good stuff. Subscribe to the YouTube channels if you haven't already. Hit those like buttons as well. We love that. And we'll see you guys on Friday.